mathematically perfect. So what kind of people we had in Tiwanaku? What kind of knowledge they had?
Really, it's kind of a mind-blowing experience going there. It's a little bit hard to explain, but the gist of it is you have this culture that existed for around 3,000 years, which is almost as long as the Egyptians. It's kind of the second longest civilization in human history. And in that time, they did some things that we still don't understand. The main thing would be the rock. I don't even know how to describe it, but they moved these rocks from this quarry 70 kilometers away. And these rocks weigh, the biggest one I think was 130 tons. And this is a civilization that's, as far as we know, it didn't even have the wheel. So just the transportation of those...
And uphill.
Yeah, just the transportation of these rocks is something kind of mind-blowing. But then what they did with these rocks is even more mind-blowing. And we did some video of it, which you can see. But they carved out... The masonry is just spectacular. And the way they were able to kind of, like Legos, fit rocks together so that they didn't move was remarkable. But then even the decorative parts of their masonry, where they did perfect 90-degree angles on these rocks that are the hardest rocks besides diamonds. Most of the rocks were diorite. And so to look at these in real life and to actually feel how smooth they were and how perfect they are to this day, 1,500 years later. Mm-hmm. There were 3 other people there at Puma Punku, so we pretty much had the place to ourselves, and that was the most impressive part of the entire site. And that's where you got to see the real masonry at work. So definitely recommend that. The agriculture, for instance, they invented this system of agriculture where they have a series of canals where the water would, because we're at such high elevation with the sun, the problem is that it gets very cold at night, and so the frost would kill the agriculture or prevent it from surviving. So what they did is they invented these series of water canals that are right next to. They lined it with clay, first off, because they were using water from Lake Titicaca, which has salt in it. So they lined these canals with clay, put this salt water in there, and that water would heat up during the day from the sun, and then that would help keep somewhat of a humid climate in that area of their valley where they were growing their crops. So that warmth that the water would get from the day would help the plants survive through the night. And then what was interesting as well is that they had fish, all sorts of different, they had an ecosystem in these irrigation canals, which they were able to clean on a periodic basis and use that as nutrients for the soil. So the actual yield on their per hectare, yield for crops is astounding. And I don't remember the statistics, but it's something that's far beyond what we get today, even with modern fertilizers and agricultural technology. The Tiwanaku was quite spectacular, and I haven't been to Machu Picchu, so I can't compare the difference in experience, but especially with our personal tour guide pointing out all these different things about the locations of these structures and the purposes and all these different side notes was really spectacular. Why don't you walk with me? It'd be interesting.
Okay.
Are we doing it?
Yeah.
So normally you can get this for $2.50, which is $2 baht and 50 cents, which is I don't even know how much that is. It's about 25 cents. But anyway, this guy sold it to me for $3.
Stop walking towards me.
But unfortunately, the glass isn't as big either.
Baby,
so
can we start over again? And can you?
Did you stop recording?
No, I'm recording,
okay,
but
I like this. And we're done.
It's like half your face, honey.
Bottoms up.
No,
Bottoms
come on.
Up. So, fresh squeezed orange juice is one of the best things so far about Bolivia. Normally you can get it for $2.50 BOP, which comes out to about 25 cents American.
No, it's about
less.
more.
problem is that we're in a very touristy area right now, so he charged me 3 baht.
And it's half the size.
It's half the size, but still delicious and a nice refreshment. So,
now that's what we're talking about.
are you recording?
Yep. 2.5 bob. Tall glass of OJ.
Yep.
This is how they make it here. But you have to drink it on premises because it's in a glass.
But you obviously get what you pay for, and it's delicious. Mm-hmm. This is the way to go.
Yep. We're eating at a restaurant called Alaya. This is supposed to be a traditional dish. And
Yes, I don't know all it has in it. It's papas fritas and
potato. Those big black ones are potatoes also.
yeah.
Chicken, sauteed onions. We'll let you know how it goes. So this is the after. Very much a dish that you kind of pick at. It's a mess.
You have all sorts of different meats in here, and sausages and things, some of which we enjoyed, and then other things which we didn't even touch, like this blood sausage here. Don't know exactly what it is, but I'm gonna try it. Then we have cheese, we have soggy French fries, and chicken. It wasn't bad, but it was also pretty expensive, about 10 American dollars.
And this is a no tourist place. This is for locals.
Right. We finally found a local joint, thanks to our guide that we had this morning.
This is a very traditional dish for Bolivia, which is very surprising because it's kind of a mess, to tell you the truth. You know, it's a bunch of stuff piled all together, and it's soggy, and I mean, it's not that tasty. So
There's some egg in here too. Egg, olives, all sorts of stuff.
not very impressed with Bolivian cuisine.
Cliff bars are sounding pretty good right now.
If you look at a guidebook, most guidebooks, the highlight for La Paz will be the witch market. And so in reading about it, you get very excited and you hear about how interesting it is. But then you go and you see that it's pretty much just 1 or 2 blocks of shops that are selling some pretty bizarre little trinkets. And of course, there's the infamous llama fetuses that range in size. They have really small and really big ones. And then they have all these other little knickknacks that you can buy. But it loses its... After 5 minutes of being in the witch market, you're pretty much ready to move on and see something else. You're obviously probably not going to buy anything there. And it doesn't actually hold very much interest like you would think. Besides the witch market, there is like a farmer's market that you can go to where they sell all sorts of produce. The majority of that produce is potatoes, but they do sell other things. But even when you go there, you can see that you're not even really noticed as a tourist. You're just like everybody else, which you may think, oh, that's great, you blend in. And it's like, no, you don't really blend in. They just don't really want to have anything to do with you, and they've seen people like you every day of their life in that market. So they're not unkind, but they aren't friendly at all. They have no interest in really interacting with you. It's kind of there's a triple whammy going on here. The people aren't exactly worth meeting, the food isn't worth eating, and there are no places worth visiting. So besides flying into La Paz and flying out of La Paz, I don't see any real reason for traveling there.